You own a business. You have kids. And if you're like most parents, the idea of combining the two sounds like a recipe for a massive headache. I mean, you want me to put the kid who just forgot to take the trash out for the third time this week in charge of my social media marketing? No thanks.
But what if I told you that refusing to hire your kids could be costing your family a serious strategic advantage? What if it's one of the biggest missed opportunities for your family's financial future? Today, we're looking at the first two chapters of the book, Hire the Kids, The Parental Guide by James Guy. Some people hear that title and immediately think, oh great, another tax loophole for rich people. Or isn't this just child labor? But as we peel back the layers, this is really about something much deeper. It's about business, family, responsibility, and building wealth together instead of leaving each person to figure it out alone. Let's start with Chapter 1, which hits on a hard truth for us adults. Your kids may understand the modern world better than you do. James Guy points out that hiring your kids is not about getting cheap labor to sweep the floors. It's about recognizing the natural advantages they may already bring into your business. Guy writes, "Children today are growing up with an innate familiarity with the latest tools and platforms. And honestly, that is hard to argue with. A teenager can figure out a new app, trend, or online platform in minutes, while some adults are still watching tutorials just to find the settings menu. Think about it. If your business needs help understanding TikTok, short-form video, online trends, simple content ideas, or how younger people communicate, who may be better equipped? You or the child who grew up in that world? That does not mean they can run the whole business. It means they may have useful instincts you should not ignore." Now, I know the skeptics are saying, sure, they know technology, but they do not know business. And that's fair. But the book's point is that involvement is how they learn. When kids are brought into the family business the right way, they learn problem solving, communication, responsibility, and how real work creates real value. This is where the idea becomes more than just a paycheck. Hiring your child can expose them to the real economy while they still have guidance at home. Instead of sending them into adulthood with no financial practice, you can teach them early how effort, time, value, risk, and reward all connect. That changes the parent-child dynamic in a powerful way. Now let's move into Chapter 2, called Financial Favorability. This is where the book gets into the money side, and honestly, it may make you wish someone had explained this to you when you were 10. Guy introduces several financial advantages that children naturally have simply because of where they are in life. The first advantage is freedom from financial burden. Most adults have bills stacked on top of bills: mortgage, rent, student loans, car payments, insurance, groceries, and everything else. Your child usually does not have that same pressure. That means their earned income can be used more strategically instead of disappearing into everyday survival. The second advantage is time. Guy writes, "Even small amounts invested early in life can grow into significant sums over the decades, thanks to the compounding effect." That is the real power here. A child has something most adults wish they had more of: decades of time for money to grow. Because children have a longer investment horizon, they can usually afford more patience. The book says the extended investment horizon that kids enjoy inherently allows for a more aggressive approach to investing. In plain English, they have time to ride out ups and downs that would make many adults nervous. The book also compares what it calls the rich kid and the poor kid. And this is not about who has wealthy parents. A rich kid earns money through the family business, learns delayed gratification, and starts building early. A poor kid, in this example, receives money passively and learns to spend before learning to create value. That contrast matters. When you hand a child money for doing nothing, you may be training them to consume. But when you give them real responsibilities, document their work, pay them properly, and teach them to budget and invest, you are training them to think like an owner. That is a completely different lesson. Now let's be fair. Is this just nepotism? Is it just a tax move? Those are valid questions. Mixing family and money can get messy fast. If this is done wrong, you could create an entitled child who thinks a paycheck is owed just because they share your last name. That is not the point of the strategy.
The model only works if the child is doing real, age-appropriate work and being held accountable. That means job descriptions, time tracking, clear expectations, and actual responsibility. You can't just put your child on payroll and call it a strategy. The work has to be legitimate.
The bigger goal is not just a deduction. The bigger goal is to operate as one family system. You are taking financial lessons that usually stay abstract and turning them into hands-on experience. Instead of lecturing your child about money, you let them participate in earning, saving, investing, and building something that matters.
Will they complain sometimes? Probably. Will you have to balance being the parent and being the boss? Absolutely. But the alternative is sending them into a tough economy with very little practical experience. This strategy gives them a chance to practice money, work, and responsibility while the stakes are still manageable.
We've only scratched the surface today by looking at the first 2 chapters. We covered why your kids may have a strategic advantage and why youth can be a powerful financial edge. But the later chapters are where the book gets into the details: child labor rules, wages, payroll, documentation, and how to do this the right way. If you own a business and you have children, this is worth studying. Hire the Kids. The Parental Guide challenges the old way of thinking about allowances, chores, and family money. It gives business owner parents a roadmap for building wealth, responsibility, and legacy together as a family.
All right, that's all for today. Be sure to check out the book, Hire the Kids, The Parental Guide, available now. And hey, don't forget to leave your own review in the comments below. Thanks for watching.